class. Welcome to Asame 30 Asians and Asian Americans through Film. My name is Professor Ao. I will be your teacher. Um, just a little bit about me. I born and raised here in the East Bay. Went to Berkeley and UCLA for grad school in Asian American Studies and Ethnic Studies. Um, and now I've been teaching this class at Berkeley City College for about 5 years now. It apparently is very popular online. People seem to like this class, so welcome. Let's just get down to business. There's a syllabus online. Please look at it, read all the official stuff. This is kind of the school's contract with you regarding what you need to do, uh, what we're going to offer you, all that kind of fun stuff. Yes, please do look at it. Of course, I'll talk about some of the issues here, but the main thing you probably want to look at is the film list. This is my notes. There's good copies online. We are at a very interesting time in Asian and Asian American cinema. The movie Parasite, a South Korean movie, is up for a lot of Academy Awards. That film would be considered, quote, an Asian film. We also have the film The Farewell, starring Awkwafina. That's the story about a Chinese American who goes back to China to visit her grandmother who's dying of cancer, but no one wants to tell grandma she's dying of cancer. That movie's been nominated for a lot of Golden Globes awards. We also have films such as Always Be My Maybe on Netflix, which we are seeing this week. It's the film with Ali Wong in it, a comedy set in San Francisco, a rom-com, also with Keanu Reeves. So really, we do have a lot of Asians and Asian Americans represented in film these days. However, it's still not as much as in mainstream Hollywood films, but we do see Asians making an inroads into Hollywood as well as the international film scene. This class will go through 3 different units. The first unit will really be about Hollywood films made in the U.S. by major U.S. motion picture companies. Really looking at the history of Asians in these films. We see from the very beginning a lot of stereotypes, demeaning Asians as gangsters, as exotic prostitutes, and just really negative imagery. We're going to talk about that through kind of the ideas of propaganda with World War II, leading up into kind of the current moments in Hollywood. Our second unit will be about independent Asian American films. That would be a film like The Farewell. And when I say independent film, really I mean films made by artists who just really want to get their message across. They may be experimental, they may be self-produced, really films that aren't necessarily going through the Hollywood machines. Sometimes they'll be on PBS, they'll be kind of in the small independent theaters. Really, they're the kind of films that really try to promote art versus just, capitalism versus just selling a film just to make $1 million, like a Disney film, like a Star Wars film. We'll talk specifically how ethnic studies and civil rights movements of the 1960s and 1970s inspired Asian Americans to create their own films. People tired of seeing all the negative portrayals in Hollywood films, really with the changing in technology, and saying, hey, we can make our own films that talk about our own histories, talk about our own stories versus stories that other people write about us. That'll be our second unit on independent films. Our third unit kind of goes globally. We'll talk about international films. Mainly we'll talk about kind of the film industries in Korea, in India, in Hong Kong, in China. Films that are made by and for primarily the Asian audience, but these days with streaming, we get to see a lot of those films right here in the United States as well. Looking at the idea that in many ways global boundaries, national boundaries are being broken because of the internet. It's relatively easy to cross boundaries for a film in South Korea to come to the United States. film in China to come to the United States, vice versa, films in the United States to go to China. In many ways, we call this period a period of the globalization or uh, internationalism. Unfortunately, because of people like Trump and Brexit in England, we also have this very nationalist backlash saying, we don't like other people. We want to just stay one country and get rid of all immigrants and get rid of everyone who thinks and looks different. That's obviously a major issue, and we'll be kind of discussing that within this class, but especially here in the Bay Area in California. Uh, Look around, we see a lot of internationalism going on. We see many different diversities of people, colors, and everyone all around us here. Um, that's kind of the way I'm teaching this class. It probably goes without saying I'm not a Trump fan. Okay, now here's where I try to scare you from taking this class. Um, this is a fairly demanding class in that each week I'm asking you to watch two assigned films that I choose, as well as these little YouTube lectures I'm giving. And what you're also to do is you are to write 3 discussion board posts regarding the films by the following Sunday. I'll open up class on Mondays, the beginning of the week, and really it's up to you to kind of plan your whole schedule of when you're going to watch the films, when you're going to write on the discussion boards. But it all has to be done by that Sunday night at midnight. I know how students think. A lot of you just kind of cram all the work on the weekends and do it, which can work. I do recommend you, again, planning your whole week in advance, really figuring out what times you want to watch the films, what times you want to comment them. Really think of it as if you were taking a class on campus, say every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm going to watch the films, etc., etc. That's the difficult part about online classes is really just self-scheduling. You don't have me shaking my finger at you in class and saying, how come you didn't do your homework? But by the following week, if you didn't do your homework, you didn't do your homework. This is a film class, so there's not going to be as much reading, but I want you to watch films. There'll be all types of films that I'll be having you watch: musicals, mystery, film noir, silent films, and black and white. People say, oh my gosh, I've never seen a black and white film. I've never seen a film without voices in it. Action films, comedies, drama, documentaries, a whole kind of gamut of films. And really that's kind of what I want you guys to get kind of used to doing is, watching films, all different types of films. So at least, 2 films per week. I'll be having links to other films, so you might want to watch more films. Really, it's a lot to get you kind of out of whatever small type of films you watch, whether it's Marvel films, Star Wars films, whatever. But to really see the whole wide variety of films out there. And again, specifically, these films are about Asians and Asian Americans. But again, many different types of genres, many different types of interesting films. Since we are at the age of streaming films, most of the films that we'll be watching will be on Netflix, will be on Canopy, and will be on YouTube. You are required to get your own subscription to Netflix, your own access to that. YouTube is free, as well as this Canopy that's being offered by Berkeley City College. There'll be links and all that below to figure out how to get your own subscription to that. That's where a lot of the documentaries are at. We like to think nowadays in these days of streaming that everything is available online. Of course, that's not true. What is on these sites or whatever they pay for. Previous years, I talked about Disney films that I showed on Netflix. But as you may know, Disney has their new Disney Plus, and so they've taken all their films and put it up behind their own paywall. So in a sense, I'm not teaching those films anymore. So the films that I'm teaching are mainly films, again, off Netflix, Canopy, or YouTube. There are other films when I teach my in-person class. Well, I'll bring an interesting DVD that's not available online anywhere. Um, but yeah, for an online class, we don't have access to exactly everything. Nevertheless, there's more than enough stuff to watch off these websites. In so many places, at least for this semester, I'm trying something new. I'm going to give you a lot more choices to make. Before I used to say, you were required to watch this film and that film. Now I'm going to kind of expand it, saying everyone to watch this one film. Then you'll have a choice of these other films to choose for your second film per that week to watch. Whatever your choice. Of course, you may watch more than one film if you want. You may watch all the films if you have that time or energy. Now, in terms of grading, although I say it's a lot of work to do, and there is, I also say this in general. This is kind of an easy A class because basically what I'm telling you to do is watch movies on TV, watch movies on your cell phone, on the TV, whatever, and then talk about them online. That's what many kind of do anyhow. So really, it kind of fits in with the modern student and your cell phones and everything. But instead of watching anything, again, you're watching the films that I tell you to watch. But again, it should be fine. We'll be seeing some Indiana Jones. We'll be watching Matrix. We're watching all these other kind of classic good films out there, as well as some surprises, things like that. To think about it critically and deeply, specifically on how Asians and Asian Americans are represented. This is a class where I'd like you to think very deeply about issues of stereotypes and propaganda, disinformation. We'll also be talking on some serious issues about hate crimes, looking at issues of politics, race, sexism, etc. That some of these films will be challenging. There's that idea now of trigger warnings, warnings to tell people out there that, hey, there's going to be violence in this film. There's going to be a lot of racism in this film. There'll be bad stuff in these films. And yeah, this course is going to be kind of like that. There are going to be some scenes which are going to surprise, shock you, make you mad, hopefully make you happy, etc., etc. In general, I'm considering you all adults out there who have been around a bit, who kind of know that there can be a lot of damaging images and films out there. I'll provide some warnings in my lecture notes, things like that, about what to expect for some of these films. But my kind of thing is, if you're watching these films and all of a sudden something is really terrible that you don't like, it's fine to shut it off and to again comment on the message boards why this was upsetting or hurtful for you. For example, in week 3, we're going to watch, or week 4? I'm not sure which week. We're going to watch Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill. It's a very violent film about, what's her name? I can't remember quite her name. But the Uma Thurman character getting revenge on the man who tried to kill her. It's all about assassins and blood. A lot of ways why I'm teaching it is, one, it's kind of looking at this film as an homage to Asian films. There's a lot of kind of kung fu and samurai swords in it. As well, this film has Lucy Liu in it, playing one of the evil bad guys or bad women. So again, we're going to kind of read it filmically like that. Secondly, there's the issues now of Uma Thurman coming out and saying that she had very issues with Quentin Tarantino. She got injured on the film. We'll talk a bit about that. Also, the film was a Miramax film by Harvey Weinstein, who's now been accused and at court for all these things of sexual harassment. Fourth, one of my comments on this film, again, in some ways this film is taught and seen as this, strong women can kind of fight back type of thing. But also it's kind of it's very kind of a film kind of glorifying the violent abuse of women. That, again, Uma Thurman gets bloodied and is putting all these very terrible conditions. Well, you can watch the film, but again, it can be very upsetting. Again, as adults, you guys know that these things exist out there. And part of the way this class is to kind of really think deeply about these issues. But yeah, when it's something flashes on the screen, it might be very upsetting to you. I'm fine with you pressing pause, taking a deep breath, and trying. And if you don't want to finish a film, you don't have to. That's kind of why I give a lot of choices. But still, I want you all to kind of really, discuss these issues online together. Again, let's get back to grading. So each week on Monday, I'll open up a lesson. You have until that Sunday to finish the lessons. Mainly, again, watch my lecture videos, watch the film in and of itself, and each week you are to write 3 discussion board posts on the threads that I have online. I may have more than 3 threads, maybe 4 or 5 different questions, but to receive the maximum points, you only have to answer 3 of them. So again, you kind of pick and choose whichever ones you want to answer. So really, it's not that hard. 3 discussion board posts, at least a paragraph long, but really, I'd like you to answer and think about the questions that I discuss. You can also answer whatever, comment on what another student may have posted. They don't have to be perfectly grammatically correct. I do want to see complete sentences, not just emojis or things like that, of course. Really, I want to know what you think. I don't want to read stuff you copied straight out of Wikipedia or Rotten Tomatoes or things like that. Of course, I can tell, when students are kind of trying to cheat. Don't cheat, of course. Plagiarism is the worst offense in academia. I could have you expelled from school for cheating. Just don't cheat. It's easier not to cheat. If you're looking at a website about a film, just quote the website. Put the link there and saying, well, I was looking at such and such website. They said blah, 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 blah. I agree with what they said or I disagree with what they said. That as long as you cite your sources, it's less likely than you're cheating. You're just telling me you're looking at something else, which is fine. So discussion boards will ultimately be 2/3 of your grade, the majority of your grade. So again, it's something not to slack off on. I'd like you to do them. And really, that's the kind of thing in this class. As long as you're keeping up week by week, you should be fine. But it's really, you don't want to kind of slack off. I do understand that we're all human. Life happens. People get sick. Our relatives might get sick. Car accidents, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I understand that things happen. If things happen, let me know in advance or let me know as they're happening. I'm willing to extend some deadlines, things like that. But don't disappear and then come back 5 weeks later and saying, oh, something happened. Now can I make all this up? Really, that's a lot to do. The remaining 1/3 of your grade are unit film reviews. At the end of each unit, I'm going to ask you to write a 2 to 3 page paper about any of the films of your choice that fit that. So for Unit 1, I'd like you to choose a Hollywood film to talk about. Most likely, one of the many films I've talked about in class. Or again, it could be another film that fits that category. For example, Crazy Rich Asians is a new film that everyone seems to like. It's not on Netflix, so I don't teach it. But if you want to watch that film on your own by buying the DVD or buying it off another streaming service, that's a fine film to watch and to review for this class. So 1/3 of your grades are going to be a film review at the end of each unit, and I'll give you more details as we go along this class. There will be no midterms, no finals. Basically, 3 weeks, 2 films a week times 16 weeks. In general, this semester, I'm asking you to watch over 30 feature-length films, which seems to be a lot. But most of you all do it, and some of you even want to watch more. Again, some of you might be watching, on your phones, whatever. You might be watching a lot of different films, more than that per week on your own. But really, this class, again, just kind of gird yourself that for this class, you're going to have to watch a lot of me on the screens as well as other movies on your screens for credit. So I think that's why a lot of you all like it. I like this class too. It seems to go pretty well. Please also note that In some ways, this class is kind of in the can. That I've taught this class for quite some time, so there'll be a lot of other YouTube videos out there. Some of them I'll have maybe more hair, I'll have darker hair, my backgrounds might change, mainly because over the years I've created different lectures at different times. Um, so sometimes things might not make sense. I might be talking about a previous film that we're not watching anymore. That's just the way it is. I'm one of those adjunct professors. I actually have a full-time job doing other stuff elsewhere, so this is kind of my hobby. It's just me and my computer filming these things, editing things. I realize I'm getting old and cranky, so I don't have, text on the bottom or flashy things all around. It's just me blah, blah, blahing in front of YouTube for you all. But rest assured, it is me that is teaching this class. It's not a TA or someone else teaching this class. That when you're typing email or writing on discussion boards, it is me that is reading them and responding to them. So I am pretty much engaged in this class, but the lectures, may be kind of old. Now, I'm accessing this class mainly through computers because I'm an old man. But it looks like this class does work well enough on the on apps. I'm a iPad person, but there are apps for Canvas, for Canopy. Obviously, there's apps for Netflix and YouTube. So I think a lot of you can do all the stuff on the phone. That the apps are good enough to do it on. And again, I know you guys are now smarter than me at accessing all this than I am. So please, again, I'll have links and stuff on Canvas to do it. I do recommend. I do send a lot of things out on email, so do set up the Canvas app to whatever email you check the most, because usually each week I'll send my messages there. So yes, it is a kind of requirement to have an email. That Peralta has its own email thing, and they use Outlook. So again, you can all do it on the computer. I do a lot of the grading on the computer app. Of course, now with computers and iPhones and all this, so it's like almost that life's like 24/7 online. Yes, I might be grading some stuff late at night, and you'll see little dings on your thing saying I graded it. However, I'm going to kind of reverse it. So if you email me or something like at 10:30 at night, said, "Oh my God, this is urgent. Please help me, Professor Al," I might pretend I'm asleep and not answer it. That's what I'm going to do. Again, I don't get paid to work 24/7, technical support, all that stuff. If you email me late at night, I'll respond in the morning when I read it, type of thing. That in some sense, this is just a film class, so I'm not, I'm not teaching you how to operate on surgery or anything. So I don't see anything necessarily life or death in this class that you need to notify me right away. Again, please do notify me if things are happening in your life that you like me to know about that might harm your class. If something's going on in your family life, of course, let me know. I'm a teacher. I'll help you try to work with counselors or whatever I can do to help you guys with whatever you guys might be facing. As well, if you have good films that you've seen or links to other stuff that you want to share, of course, you may share it online as well. However, do keep in mind your work on the discussion boards are graded. So this is not the free-for-all internet where you can call people names or yell at people or be terrible online people. I will see that. So in some sense, pretend you are in a class, in an in-person class where, yes, we might have spirited debates and that's fine, but I don't want people, yelling, calling people names, of course, or throwing chairs at each other, which you can't do online. But, we kind of know the age we're at now with the internet and a lot of angry people online saying bad, rude stuff. Don't do that for this class. But if something's going on in discussion boards, someone saying something really weird that you don't necessarily like, please don't necessarily jump out and respond to them. Let me know and I'll try to handle it. Indeed, this class will actually kind of talk about kind of the limits of technology and kind of the state where we're at now with disinformation, with kind of, the internet politics have become, a big overriding theme. And that's kind of really what's affecting the nation and the world today, with whether it's a Trump tweet or whatnot, or Facebook kind of doing some nefarious things, promoting uh, political falsities online. We're in a very kind of odd, unfortunate place in society now. And again, hopefully, this class will find ways to navigate around a lot of these minefields that we're in.